All right. Well, we can switch to some baseball stuff again. I had to mention that. But college baseball notes here. Again, we say it every week, but Northern Illinois won their series over Akron, 2-1. They are 22-12 on the season, 12-7 in the MAC. They are tied for second in the MAC. SIU, they swept Bradley. They're 7-5 in the Valley now. UIC swept Valpo. They are 10-5 in the Valley, tied for first in the Missouri Valley. So shout out to UIC there. Western Illinois won their series over SIUE, 2-1. But SIUE still is tied for first in the OVC. So some good stuff there from Illinois programs. What you got, Ty?
I know I touch on NIU, I think, every week to piggyback off of you. But with NIU, they also earned a big commit last week with Connor McKay, who was, I don't have the rankings right in front of me. I've got to think he was probably the top or one of the top remaining uncommitted.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so
you're spot
that's a
on
big
with that.
deal. I know I touched on him last week, but I love that fit for both sides, for both Connor and NIU. So wanted to shout that out there because I think they got a really good one in Connor McKay.
Yeah, another thing on NIU is I've seen online they've got these like mid-major rankings for baseball, and NIU is ranked 24th in the mid-major rankings. So
Nice.
Yeah, I saw they had like potentially the best RPI out of all the Illinois schools. I mean, there's some good Illinois schools in the state, so that kind of says a lot. So I don't really know, if they have to probably win the conference to make a regional. I'm not super sure, but I mean, they could be a team to watch if they make it to the playoffs, it seems like. But one little nugget I saw Jimmy Janicki, Downers Grove North graduate from a few years ago, hit a walk-off grand slam against a hot Louisiana team that was coming off a big win. I believe they beat Southern Miss like the week prior, which is a powerhouse Division I. So cool to see that. He's hitting 348 on the year with 15 doubles, and now he's up to 11 home runs with 55 RBIs as well. So really handling the bat well, and I know the defense is obviously Skylar Mead's a big fan of the glove there behind the plate as well.
Yeah, it was a huge win for Troy. Like they had tight games every game that weekend, but that won them the series. So they took 2 or 3 from Louisiana, and it was a big, huge comeback. I think they scored maybe 7 runs in the last 2 or 3 innings, and he kind of like capped it off with that grand slam. So shout out Jimmy. There was some article too. He must have a sister that plays softball, because I think they like both homered within like 30 minutes of each other.
No way.
Yeah, I wish I had the article pulled up in front of me, but it caught my eye. I saw it on social. But yeah, a huge fan of like just Jimmy. He was a future gamer for us and a Super 60 guy, and like he was a big time like football guy too early on in his high school career, and just an awesome individual. So always keeping tabs on him and seeing what he's doing. They also have Tommy Egan down there throwing the ball on the weekends for them at Troy. He's a Mount Carmel grad, future gamer. So striking out more guys in innings pitched and having a good season as well. Shoot, Gav, I'll stay on. I'll keep my mic going here because we talk about them all the time, but they have a lot of like Illinois products and prospects on their roster. Is Cincinnati? They're 27-15, and the thing that stood out to me, just peeking at their stats, always trying to check in on our Illinois guys. But I mean, freshman Enzo Infeliz from Pravi, he was in the Player of the Year running last year. Put up like an absolute monster senior season for Providence. I want to say he hit over 500 with a ton of like home runs, maybe 11 home runs, but he's leading Cincinnati in hitting right now. He's hitting 372. He's got 8 doubles, 5 home runs, 33 RBIs. Jackson Smith, another Pravi grad that we've talked about on here, but he's hitting 301 with 11 doubles, 3 triples, 4 home runs. And the numbers that stood out to me with Jackson were he's got 31 walks. So it's good for a 480 OBP. I mean, he's reaching base basically 500 or half the time. And he's 14 for 14 with stolen bags. They also have some Illinois products on the mound, which we've talked about these guys in the past, but Connor Blue, and then another one is Adam Brower, who actually used to be, I think he started his career with Coach Copeland down at Illinois Springfield, followed him to NIU, and now he's over at Cincinnati throwing. But he was a Chicago Christian grad.
I see we got a couple John A. Logan nuggets here. Cam Yearsley, just an unbelievable year for him. Hitting 513 on the year with 35 home runs right now, which makes him the all-time leader for Johnny Logan in home runs. But like the thing with that, he had 2 home runs his freshman year. So like to be doing so, I think he broke the record with 37. So like 35 this year. Man, I mean that just like made me laugh out loud when I saw that graphic. 'Cause like 35 is just insane. And I mean he could always
especially
hit.
after hitting 2 last year.
Yeah,
Like
and he could always
That's
hit.
nuts, Pete.
I remember Soup at one of the John A. Logan scout days was like, so that I don't even think he was committed there. He's like that Cam Yearsley, like he can hit, right? He's pretty good because he was like on him. I was like, yeah, he can hit. Well, I'm glad Soup trusted his gut and went with him because it's clearly paying off. But
that's just a crazy like difference in home runs. You hit 2 your freshman year and you're just gonna go out and hit 35 and the season's still going on right now.
Yeah.
Like I'd love to talk to Cam and see what clicked or what made the difference if he just got after it in the weight room. But I'm reading it here like there's still 8 games remaining in the regular season, and John A's 39-8. They're 24-2 in the GRAC. But that's just like an absolute crazy, like I don't know, little nugget there that just shocked me when I saw that he only had 2 last year and he's got 35 this year. But sorry, I just wanted to get in there.
You're good. And then like congrats to Soup, Coach Soprenant. He just won his 400th career game, so big milestone there. And then sticking on milestones, Coach Brian Hurry at Mount Carmel just won his 700th game, so he's rising that list of winningest coaches in the state. So just cool, 2 cool nuggets there.
I mean, Nick, in your neck of the woods, I don't know if you want to hit on this, but we were talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Deegan, a shortstop from Jacobs, committed to Belmont on Friday against Burlington Central. He was hit by a pitch 5 times, so he went 0 for 0 with 5 hit by pitches, which looks to be a tie for the single game record in the nation. So
that's what I
pretty
saw.
impressive.
Yeah, yeah, tied the single game record for any high school player across the nation. It's too bad he couldn't have gotten a 6th at bat. But yeah, that's nuts. I'm sure he was iced up all over his body after that game.
Well, to even get 5 at bats in a high school game is pretty rare, right? Like I feel like on our scout cards we only got four little columns for when we're keeping track, and so like hardly ever do I have to go into a 5th. So that's pretty rare.
You're getting into a high scoring game when you're starting working those columns that like aren't even there and you're trying to squeeze in the box score and all that. Usually a wind blowing out high offensive game. Tyler, I mean, you probably want to get in here. You wanted this to lead the show today. Like, you tried to move this to the very top. We had to, tap the brakes on it a little bit, but what do you got?
Hey, this is just one proud alumni here. I want to shout out the alma mater. Wittenberg University over there in Ohio, their baseball team is now ranked number 19 in the country. I want to say we were ranked just one time when I was there, but I know for a fact we didn't crack the top 20 if we did. There were times we'd receive votes and whatnot, but to my knowledge, this is the highest they've been ranked probably in a long, long while. They're 24-6 on the year. Sitting towards the top of their conference. It's them and Denison 1-2 right now in that conference, but want to shout out those guys. Like I said, just super proud alumni. Shout out Coach Griff, Coach Himmy, Coach Wagner. They're doing great stuff. So go Tigers.
Big culture change once Tyler left.
They finally started winning. Oh man, got some leaders in the program. No, I want to shout out my alma mater as well, Indiana Southeast, NAIA program down there in New Albany, Indiana, just across the river from Louisville. But they're 32-13 right now. A couple years ago, under Ben Reel, who's now the head coach at Bellarmine, they made their first World Series appearance. And just ever since Coach Reel kind of took that program over, they've been winning a whole bunch of games. So always keeping an eye on the Grenadiers. And now that he's been over at Bellarmine, it seems like it hasn't slowed them down. So love to see it.
I got a cool nugget from Noah Schultz for the White Sox. Got his first MLB win. Threw the ball really well. 5 innings, just 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 earned run, and struck out 6. So cool to see him get a taste of that success early. I'm sure that'll help, hopefully propel him forward and help keep it rolling. But man, to be that size and throwing strikes, I mean, that's really like all he needs to do, right? To have the electric stuff that he has. I saw the fastball is up to 98. As long as he's in the zone with that fastball and that slider, like he's gonna pitch in the bigs for a long time. It's special, unteachable stuff.
We've been talking about these White Sox prospects, I feel like, for a while now. And to see Sam Antonacci get the call up like right after him is really cool. Sacred Heart Griffin. I think they're kind of playing him too, like just wherever they can get him in the lineup, left field, second base. So, hopefully Sam gets it going here for them as well. But no, you mentioned Noah and the stuff that he has. Like, he was always uber talented, but watching him throw, like he's added stuff to his arsenal too. Like he's throwing an 89-mile-an-hour cutter now. He was like really sinking the fastball and then riding it at times. Like, I don't know what all they've done with him, but just to see that he's continuing to develop, he's already in the big leagues. If he can settle in, man, this stuff is really, really good. So I'll be very curious to watch and see what he can do for the Sox, and like just see what his workload can be, right? Like he hasn't thrown too many innings in the minor leagues yet as far as per season. So to see how they space him out, how they utilize him, and how he can hopefully help kind of turn the White Sox around. Speaking of like the big leagues, Tyler, we haven't even talked about it, but the Reds, man. I just looked the other day, they were like 15-8. You don't want to get ahead of yourself?
I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm not as bad as Gavin where like, when my team's doing well, I just will refuse to talk about them. But no, it's great to see they're playing really, really good ball right now. And they're doing it without like any offense really. Like they're very pitching and defense reliant right now. So I'm just ready for the offense to kind of wake up, because once that happens, I think they'll be cooking with gas if it ever happens. But no, it's fun to watch. As a Reds fan, I just want them to be like interesting. So this is actually the best start they've had since 1990, and that was the last time they won a World Series. So I'm not saying, but I'm not saying. No, but it's
goes from not trying to get his hopes up to start talking World Series, and last time was 36 years ago. But
they always say history repeats itself. So if history wants to repeat itself this year, I won't be mad.
Well, the NL Central looks like everybody's playing really well. Cubs kind of took advantage of a slow starting Mets, because I who knows what's going to happen with the Cubs, like those injuries, like I don't know how long they can sustain that, but guys are stepping up, so love to see it. And they really haven't swung the bats great either, although it's weird. I saw a stat that they had scored either the second most runs in the NL or the most runs in the NL going into like Saturday. And PCA hasn't done anything. Michael Busch hasn't done anything. There's a couple other guys that I think have like had slow starts. Seihei Suzuki, like they didn't even have him to start the year. So I also think that's somewhat intriguing. Bregman, I like Bregman's one that really hasn't like swung it great. So I'll be very curious to see what the Cubs can do here with all this mixing they're gonna have to do with these arms.
Well, I saw they have like the best run differential in the NL Central, and they're in second to last place. But that was another thing. The NL Central has 5 teams. They're all over 500. And the AL, the entire AL, only has 4 teams over 500. So just an absolute gauntlet of a division.
Wild.
Like, I mean, I'm sure I don't know if the Wisconsin guys listen to this, but I saw the Brewers were in last place now. So that makes me feel a little bit better. And the Cubs are, I mean,
that just means it's time for them to probably rip off 25 in a row, because everyone here knows that they have like devil magic in Milwaukee. So, Hammett, you say that we'll probably look up and they won't lose for like 2 months straight, probably.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, the Cubs have won 6 straight. Your Reds are in first by how many games? Like a game and a half potentially.
Yeah, I think a game maybe.
Yeah, and then like the next 3 are tied at 13-9, and then the Brewers are 12-9. So I'm just giving them crap, like it's not like they're playing bad baseball at all, and I'm sure they will be ripping off 20 straight here soon. But no, it's just a crazy division. I feel like it's been that way for the last couple of years. Like the NL Central has been sneaky good lately.